I do not understand the point of owning a home. Not only do you have to pay an outrageous amount of money for a down payment on the house, but everything that breaks is then your responsibility to fix it. I don't have to bring my trash cans to the end of the street on trash night. All of my neighbors are super close, so I could just walk from apartment to apartment and meet friends easier. Anything that comes up, literally anything, I walk across the street to my leasing office, bang on their door and say, hey, I need this fixed. Now, I don't have to pay anybody for it. You're telling me if I have a house, I have to call somebody in special to come and fix something, and then I have to pay them extra money to do it? I don't really think I'm interested in that. I don't want to mow my lawn, and I don't want to shovel snow in the winter. I just don't get the point of having a home.
I need you guys' help in the comment section with this one. As I was doing some research and putting together this video, it's one common theme that stuck out to me. And it seemed like a lot of women regretted their home purchase. Now, this is not any scientific research. I don't have any numbers. This is just simply an eye test. Most of the videos that I came upon were women who regretted owning a home. Now, I don't know again if this was just coincidence or are women doing this for aesthetics as something to check off the list. They got the degree, you got the car, now you have the house. Let me know in the comments below how you feel about that.
Transparency post. I regret buying a house. I regret it a lot. If I could go back to January 2022, I would tell that girl, do not. Just find another apartment to move into, because doing all this shit that I have to do for this house and all the unexpected costs, high dollar unexpected costs that I keep running into, to be handling it by myself, is ass. So to all you young women who want to go out and buy a home, I encourage you to really, really think about it. Talk to some people and really see the ins and outs. I mean, it always sounds good. Oh yeah, your mortgage is only going to be $1,000 until they reevaluate your property taxes, and that bitch goes up $200. It's trash. 85 degrees, your AC is going to go out. You don't want to know how much that costs. It's trash.
I think the big issue a lot of people have who have buyer's remorse is they really didn't do their research and break down their numbers. They went to the bank, got pre-approved for a mortgage, and then went out and got a realtor, but they never really sat down and looked at the true cost. I mean, owning a home is much more than just a mortgage. Like you said, you have property taxes. In some situations, you have HOA. You have maintenance that comes along with a house. Again, you may go 1, 2, 3, 4 years and may not have to do much maintenance, but then when it's time to replace the roof, the heating, and insulation systems, these are not cheap fixes. This is not a $100, $200 fix. These are thousands of dollars of expenses that you're going to be responsible for and have to come out of pocket compared to if you live in an apartment. Maybe you are paying a little bit more per month, but if the refrigerator breaks, the AC is not working, the garbage disposal stops, you literally put in a maintenance request and someone comes and fixes it, and you don't have to worry about the cost. Even as something as simple as, I mean, depending upon the state you're living in, shoveling snow, you don't have to worry about it. That's taken care of by your landlord, unless they have something specified in the lease. So I think a lot of people who have this regret really didn't do their due diligence, and it ultimately comes down to them not being financially prepared for them unknown expenses.
Guy says I own my house and sold it in rent and forgot how easy it is. I don't do anything. Yeah, dude, I feel the same way. I sold my house last year at the peak of the market. I am so happy I did. And the other thing people don't talk about, especially like here in Vegas, is, your electric bill, your water bill, your upkeep. I mean, like I've said on numerous videos, my electric bill now is about $122. At my house, it was well over $500 every month, except for maybe a month or two. So, and the water bill and oh God, and having to keep the grass cut and all that stuff. I'm telling you, it's so much nicer not having to worry about any of that stuff. So I feel you. And the great thing is it frees up a lot of money to be able to do whatever else you want. And few people talk about that, but great point.
You definitely have to weigh the pros and cons. Again, I really do think it comes back to people not properly doing the right research and realizing how much having a true cost. True cost. You got to understand. You get with your realtor, they're going to sell you on the fact that, hey, why would you rent when you could get a mortgage for why rent for $1,800 when you could get a mortgage for $1,500? You have to understand your realtor is not your friend. You know, they're there to sell you a house. You've never met a realtor that told you it was a bad time to buy. So you always have to keep that in the back of your mind. They're on commission. That's how they make their bread and butter. If they don't sell any homes, they're not making any money. So you have to make sure you're doing your own research and making sure you're getting into a situation to where you can afford it. Also making sure it fits your lifestyle. If you're the type of person who likes to travel, you want to eat out, you want to do a lot of those extracurriculars, having a house and the maintenance that's associated with it could cut back into those luxuries.
Okay, I'm not one to sugarcoat or tell you a lie. Let me be real honest with you guys right now. So I know I had a video about what to do if you want to purchase a home. But I'm on the other side of the coin now. I almost regret buying a home. One of the things to take into consideration is if you have an HOA. Your HOA charges you every month. They can foreclose on your property faster than the mortgage company. They can raise it. There's no regulation on it. Yes, that's one of the reasons why. Another thing that I kind of miss about renting that I don't get the luxury of when I own a home, I have to fix everything myself. I hate that. I gotta fix it. The thing is, it's not much cheaper than renting. Your property taxes go up, your HOA go up, your mortgage go up. Those are the cons, in my opinion.
If you notice one thing, all this stuff all circles back to the money.
Yesterday was my 3-year anniversary of becoming a home borrower. I borrowed this house from the bank 3 years ago, and I hate it. And some people are asking me why. Why do you hate it? Because I can't afford it. I can't afford this house. When I borrowed the house, I could afford it, and the bank insured that. Since then, though.
Just because you get pre-approved for something does not mean you can afford it. People a lot of times confuse those two things. So they said the banks will approve you for a lot of things that you truly cannot afford.
When I borrowed this house, my homeowner's insurance was $1,323 a year. Today, 3 years later, my homeowner's insurance is $2,654 a year. That is a little over $100 increase, which is added to my payment. Now,
Most people that work for banking institutions know nothing about finances. I've been seeing a lot of creators come online and talk about how purchasing a home or becoming a
I want to pause it right there. If you purchase a property in your home and over the course of 3 years, your homeowner's insurance goes up $100, and that's the breaking point for you, you never could afford that house in the first place. Again, no one wants their homeowner's insurance to go up, but if $100 increase is causing you to get online and saying at one point you could afford it and now you can't, baby, you could never afford that house to begin with. Again, it all comes back to the money. A lot of people are getting into homes without doing a proper due diligence, and I think, like I said, I think it's really a social status thing. A lot of people want to post a house on Instagram. They want to be able to brag and say they're a homeowner. And a lot of people are, one, buying way more house than they can afford, and two, not really sitting down and doing the math correctly to see what the true cost of ownership is, not just the mortgage, the true cost.
Can we talk about the black home ownership rate right now being the lowest in this country, and the fact that I'm seeing black creators post content stating they regret buying a home and it was the biggest mistake of their lives? First of all, my name is Jessica Rogers. I'm a licensed realtor serving the state of South Carolina. Now,
Something, by the way, she just started off this video, let me know that she was going to let us know that she was a realtor.
What has brought me to do this video is the fact that over the past week or so, I have seen content creators that look like myself, brown skin, African American content creators, talking about how they regret buying their home. Okay, some bought in 2022, some bought in 2021, some bought in 2023, and they're hopping on TikTok stating, I regret buying a home. It was the biggest mistake I ever made. For various reasons. The mortgage payment increase, due to taxes and insurance, or because, maintenance, they're having to repair things, which all goes into being a homeowner. We know that, right? But this is my problem. I'm trying to figure out why y'all hopping on the app and talking about it. Because once you start looking at the numbers, and of course, me being in the profession, I see what's really going on. Let's talk about the rates real quick, okay? Let's talk about the actual home ownership rates. Let's break this down. According to the Census Bureau 2023 data, the home ownership rate, we're going in order. Non-Hispanic white, 73.8%. Asian Americans, 63%. Hispanic Americans, 49.8%. Black Americans, 45.9%. The numbers don't lie, y'all. We got the lowest home ownership rate in this country. African Americans have the lowest home ownership rate in this country. Asian Americans have surpassed us. Hispanic Americans have surpassed us. Let's take it all the way back. Compared to 10 years ago, the Black American home ownership rate has only increased by 2.7%.
Let's pause it right there. See, the problem is she's not looking at the root of the issue. Yes, home ownership is good, but what's more important than home ownership is having a skill set that's competitive in the marketplace. If you have a competitive skill set that's going to pay you a competitive wage, that's keeping up with inflation, then you won't have the issues of the low home ownership rate. The problem is a lot of Black people are getting houses just to say they have them, but they're really struggling to hold on to them. You go into people's households and you can't even touch the thermostat because, God forbid, the electric bill, the AC or heating bill, if it's $50 or $100 more per month, they're down bad. So again, you got to be like I said, you got to be very careful when you're talking to realtors. Understand the motive and agenda for them. They only make money when they sell a house. Keep that in mind. That's not to say realtors are bad people. I mean, again, they have a job. They have to make a living just like everybody else. But keep that in mind when you're dealing with realtors. They're not your friends.
Let's talk about who bought houses last year. According to the National Association of Realtors, the people who bought houses last year, 81% were white and only 7% were Black. That is why I get really, really, really upset when I see Black creators hop on this app to discourage other Black people from buying a house. We all know.
So she's calling it discouraging when people come on here and tell you the real. They say, "Hey, I bought a house. It wasn't what it was all cracked up to be. I promoted it." And as we've seen in the previous clips, not just with Black people, but with other races, it all came back down to really not having the proper funds and not knowing the true cost of ownership. That's what it all boils down to. It's not that people regret so much buying the house. It's now they're house poor. And who wants the majority of their income going to pay a house to now where you can't do anything fun. You can't go on a trip. You can't go out, to a restaurant you may like. You can't do any type of extracurricular activities um, because now you had a tree growing in your front yard and the roots from the tree got into your pipe, and now they need to dig up your front yard, and they're charging the plumber is telling you it's going to be $7,000 to $10,000. There's a lot of expenses that come with home ownership, and that's the true core issue here. And she's I don't know if she's missing the point. I don't know if she's being disingenuous or she just doesn't really understand that.
Historically, home values have increased. Okay, historically, period. Home ownership is still the number one wealth building tool in this country. You can say what you want to say. Real estate is where it is at. Look on Wall Street. They're buying up property.
There she goes again, kind of being misleading. Yes, real estate may be a leading um, factor in wealth building. But investors on Wall Street, they're not buying primary residence, they're buying investment properties. A primary residence and an investment property are two different things. And that's what people have to understand. When you go to buy a primary home, you really shouldn't look at it like an investment. You should look at it as like, okay, I need somewhere to live. I have, especially if I have a family, I'm gonna need something a little bit bigger. So I'm gonna buy something for stability, not looking at it necessarily as an investment. If it does appreciate and it works out, good. But to be banking the majority of your wealth on a house is foolish, because if all your money is tied up in a house, you're screwed because you're always going to need somewhere to live. So, I mean, if you have to sell that house, any equity that you probably made, the house is back on the market are probably just not, or if not more expensive. So you're really back at square one. Again, like I said, she doesn't seem to have the proper understanding. I mean, she may mean well, but you got to understand there's a big difference between a primary residence and an investment property.
Buying up property to then rent it out to you. I'm in this business. I see how hard it is for people to purchase a home. People who would not have had a problem purchasing a home 5 years ago. People are getting these pre-approvals, and you're pre-approved for 150,000. You're pre-approved for 130,000, and it's basically like finding a needle in a haystack, because it's like, what is there to buy for $150,000 that's move-in, that's livable?
Comes back to my original point where I said it needs to be more focus and emphasis on developing a high in demand skill set, so you won't be only pre-approved for 100, 130, 150,000. Because I mean, if we're being honest, that's not a lot of money, and that's not going to really get you much in any major city in America. Maybe if you're in some rural area, you may be able to buy something, but 130, 150, 130 and $150,000 is not going to get you much. It's much more it's much better to spend your time trying to get a skill set. So now you put yourself in a position where you can get a pre-approval for $400,000 or $500,000, and you'll be in a much better space.
That you're not going to have to completely gut out and remodel. It's hard for so many people. And I know a lot of realtors talk about, oh, I'm a luxury realtor, I'm a luxury realtor, whatever. Yeah, there are some amazing realtors out here selling and serving at these very high price points, these $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, $400,000 houses. And these people who are buying these houses, they're not worried about, the credit. They're not worried about getting approved for financing. They have the money for the down payment. They could care less about down payment assistance. But I'm a realtor who's actually out here. My whole goal 3 years ago, when I became a realtor, almost 4, was to help those people who thought homeownership would never be possible for them. Okay? And some of those people have credit challenges. Educating them on what it's going to take, what credit score you need to buy a house, educating them on the type of home loans, educating them on down payment assistance, finding grants and down payment assistance that is available for these buyers. And then they make all these steps and do what they're supposed to do. And we get the pre-approval, and the pre-approval is 150,000, 130,000.
Because the issue is not really grants and not really credit. Those things may have play a factor, but the true core of the issue is they don't have the proper skill set. So they're not going to be able to maintain and keep up with the house anyway. But let me know what you think in the comments below about buyer's remorse. Also, do you think it's just coincidence that I'm seeing a lot of women online regretting buying a home? A lot of single women. Is it coincidence, or maybe it's just, I don't know, happenstance? Let me know what you think in the comments below. I look forward to hearing from you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.